Two of the world's greatest players are facing off against each other in a best-of-5 series of Protoss versus Zerg. The spawning right here, with Zest spinning around on the main nexus. Sadly, for many fans out there, this is not Zest, but we have none other than Hero. I mean, I would love for Zest to return to the game, but I think at this point that ship has sailed. But at the very least, Hero still represents him on the main base. His opponent all the way in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Zerg pieces from Italy. We have a previous world champion. Of course, we have none other than Reynor. Reynor has been phenomenally good lately, and, well, he's been spending time over in Korea once again. I did confirm this recently. I mentioned it in a previous video, but he's playing under the clan tag Basilisk KR, which I believe is the Korean clan. You know, for Basilisk, it's the clan that they have on the Korean server, and Reynor indeed is currently over in Korea. So this particular series should be played with absolute minimum amounts of ping. No advantages in that regard. Now we're starting off in this particular best-of-5 series on Satellite Years. Of course, a map from the Team Liquid map contest. It's been an absolute blast casting these fresh maps so far. None of them, as far as I know, have been selected just yet as actual ladder candidates, but I gotta say, out of pretty much all of the TOMC maps that I've casted so far, my criticisms have been very, very minimum. I mean, for this map, for example, I think the mini-map is too bright. The mini-map is oversaturated. But the actual map layout is totally fine, although I have heard some people complain about light mode. I've heard some people ask if maybe they could introduce a dark mode for Satellite Years instead. Because it turns out if you're watching this at like 3 in the morning on your like 85-inch television in the living room, that it's got its brightness cranked up all the way to the max, you may accidentally flashbang your own, you know, home, which is suboptimal. But Reynor has got a solution. I'm sure he's going to be spreading some creep around the map here in just a moment. So I guess dark mode will be on the side right here of the Zerg. Now, I have seen a bunch of Reynor games so far on the new patch. I have seen a few Hero matches too. Not as many yet, though, for our Protoss player, but I will say, usually Hero is an absolute beast in general, right? Like, he's consistently like a top 2, top 1 Protoss player on the planet, but usually, especially when we go through a big cycle of changes, Hero is the one that you need to look at. He's very creative. Obviously, if you've, for example, seen him scrap in the past against the likes of Dark, you will have noticed that he is very good even when the opponent goes for some wild and wacky strategies. Reynor, generally speaking, not nearly as crazy as Dark, who, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar, is currently doing his military service, but it seems, at least by the fact that he's still laddering a lot and he's still posting on Twitter and all that, that he will return in the future. Anyways, Hero is one of those places or one of those people that you need to be looking at when the new patch arrives, when the new maps are here, because he certainly is someone who can figure out what is strong right from the get-go. A little bit different than, for example, the likes of, say, for example, Classic, or maybe more of like a max specs type of playstyle. Those players usually treat the game a little bit more like a spreadsheet. Hero, very free-flowing, but for now, this is all very standard. We're gonna go into a Stargate opener, and then a very quick Oracle out of the main base. We'll probably go up to at least 2, likely even 3. Maybe even more than that. Only time will tell, but usually 3 is where top-level Protoss players do draw the line these days. Obviously, getting your Storm out nice and quickly has been extremely good in this matchup, as well as against, well, Terran, although Hero has not really been playing that nearly as much. Good movement right here on the Oracle, though, in the end. Yeah, zoning against the Queens. Queens are not in the natural, but ultimately, the movement here on the drones is also solid. We did have a couple of Zerglings nibbling away at that Nexus here for just a moment, but Hero also dealing with that just fine. He needs to be careful. Losing an Oracle is very painful. Twilight Council. Forge right next to it. So this should pretty much always be the very conventional blink on the back of this as well. Curious to see what Reynor does. So, in the games that I've seen Reynor play on the new patch so far, he seems to have like 2 general approaches. He does a lot of like Hydralisk-based attacks, in which case he usually goes for like a quick Evo Chamber with +1 melee, or he goes for the quick Roach Warren instead. Now, obviously we have no Roach Warren just yet. It does mean that you're technically risking it a little bit against, say, for example, Glaive Adepts, or, for example, Charge. Charge with +1 melee is kind of an oddball right here for Hero. It is going to be extremely good, though, especially against the Zerg player, who is skipping out on roaches. Normally, as we have the Oracle still harassing the natural expansion too, normally, say it's like fully unupgraded units, it takes a Zealot 3 attacks to kill 1 Zergling. With +1 attack on the Protoss units and no carapace upgrades on the Zerg, like what we will have here in just a moment, the Zerglings are going to die in only 2 attacks. So Zealots are going to be significantly more powerful. With the Templar Archives on the back of this, I'm guessing we're going to go into Archons. Could even be for Quick Storm as well. But I think in this instance, you can line up a really good timing attack here as Hero with Archons and then a whole load of Zealots. Get the Robo facility right here for a Prism. Maybe an Observer in the mix as well. How many gateways are we going to make? For now, it's going to be 6 in total. I would not be surprised if we're going to see 2 more added into the mix. But that would turn this into a mostly all-in now. For the time being, the defense has been solid. Reynor not really losing a whole lot just yet. Oracle gets YOLO'd in for absolutely no apparent reason at all. Okay, apparently we are going to go into... We are going to go into the Storm research. I guess Hero may have seen something that prompts him to not go too aggressive, but I really think he's got some real pushing potential to potentially just actually win the game right here, right now. Considering, though, there's no Prism in this area. We don't have a whole lot of Zealots. No Archons are added into the mix either. I think Reynor manages to survive in a situation where this could have been an absolute disaster. Only 6 gateways. Now we're going to add on a couple more. Yeah, I think maybe Hero thought that there was already a Roach Warren hiding somewhere, or maybe that the lair was even quicker, and that already Hydras could be coming up. At that point, it becomes very much so a glass cannon type of game where both players just have an insane amount of damage. You could also kind of use the Queens for some tanking purposes too. Got a feeling, though, that Hero could have won the game by now if he decided to fully commit, but instead... What an odd opener here. Instead, we're going to go really Quick Storm, so it's already done. Not even 7.5 minutes in. And then also a Fleet Beacon. 4th Nexus begins too? Is this a Fleet Beacon just for the Mothership? I guess? Now, though, the ball is very much so in Reynor's court, who manages to grab another group of Zealots. The Zealots are really nice when they're all balled up together, right? And they can put a lot of work in side by side, but you do need more than those Zerglings here in order to properly overwhelm it. Yeah, I think it's just going to be for the Mothership. Certainly the only thing that makes sense. Well, Storms are going to be an absolute necessity, though, because his Hydroling Bane Bull is going to be dangerous. Storms, of course, last longer, but they deal less damage. At least less damage per second. It's messy. It's kind of dirty. There's not enough on those High Templar for another Storm. Reynor really wants to try and break through all of this, and I can't blame him. There seemed to be very few Protoss units when he first arrived. Now, though... Protoss, man. It is kind of insane. I thought with those Oracles dying that this would have been a very dangerous attack from Reynor indeed. He certainly won the early game. Hero is playing this incredibly messily, but I think he's gonna be okay. Storm, pretty good. And there she is. Oh, there she comes. Watch out for her. She'll cloak you up. Okay, sorry. We don't need karaoke. I don't think we need it. She's a Zerg eater. All right, plus 3 is going to be coming up here as well in just a moment. And Hero actually just defended that without really too much trouble. He did a lot of all-army hotkeying. We've got ourselves, well, multiple Oracles dying there, which is honestly unnecessary. Reynor not really achieving a whole lot. Creep threat, though, is really solid. Drone count also looking healthy. And there's a group of Banelings, yes, waiting off to the side of the main stage, hoping to come in around the back and grab those High Templar. Oof. Somehow it didn't work. Ugh, man, that's so crazy. Hero managed... I feel like every time we look at these fights and I think Protoss is just about to die, and this has happened in like a half dozen casts so far that I've done on the new patch, every time I think, oh, Protoss is just about to die, they somehow, some way, wiggle their way out of the situation. And ultimately, right, what Hero is going for, if you, well, is allowed to get there, is a ground toss death ball. So he's mostly camping this high ground, slowly making his way to a 5th base too. But he's got loads of storms. It's basically storm only. And now he's starting to fill out some of his leftover supply with Archons, Immortals, and all the rest of it. A couple of Zealot run-bys as well, just to be a little bit annoying. Reynor, though, is playing Hydraling Bane, and then more Hydraling Bane, and then more Hydraling Bane. And so far, I think this is going to be the hardest attack, unless it takes place on creep. So far, though, it's really not been working out too nicely. Kill on the 4th Nexus, no cancel. So that's a lot of resources down the drain. Now we have some of the Zerg units also slipping through the cracks. Normally, what we see from Protoss is a Skytoss-based Death Ball. That's usually what most people get tilted by. In this particular instance, Hero is basically just doing the same thing, but with a ground-based army instead. And Reynor does not have Lurkers. He does not have Brute Lords. He doesn't have any siege units that would actually be good against this type of unit composition. I mean, Lurkers, you would need like 20 of them in order to properly combat this. Way too late. So yeah, he needs to double down. Effectively, what Reynor is doing is just more of the same. Difficult for Zerg to make that transition towards Hive in this instance, and Hero is reading his opponent very nicely. Look at him, just marching around. Just like Classic did in that other series I did cast recently. He's just taking a leisurely stroll on the creep, hanging out, having a good time, not really being all too bothered. Another Ling Bane run by, but the thing is, we keep on trying to cancel the 5th Nexus of the Protoss, and ultimately, Hero can max out easily on 4. This is the 5th base right here of Reynor. Upon seeing that there's no mining going on, Hero has decided to just sort of, yeah, slowly engage and drag the army off creep yet again. Upon the disengage of the Zerg, he decides to move back in. Hero leaving some supply in the tank too, so he can actually warp in reinforcements at home. Creep spread right now over at the front is gone. Looks like a bunch of the Hydras may have been caught out. 13 probes did die. But I think Hero is likely going to replace those 13 lost workers with additional supply for the army. Well, here we go. We're storming everything, including the Archons. My god, it storms for everybody. 15 kills on Mama herself. I honestly think that the Protoss player did more damage there to the Protoss army than the Zerg did. That's crazy. I would love to see the overall damage output here from both of the armies, but I'm fairly sure Hero dealt more damage there than the Zerg. It's got to be close. I mean, Reynor is getting up to Lurkers now. It's a slow transition, and he needs a lot of gas, but yeah, he's already got 10 Lurkers. Ranged is going to finish up in a moment. Hero, though, has maneuvered his army towards the left side, completely blindsiding the Zerg. And that's going to be his 4th base down the drain. More High Templar moving to the front. Hero, the Oprah Winfrey of Protoss. You get a storm. You get a storm. Okay, it's not that many right now. Probes are dying left, right, and center. But my main concern is the main army. I mean, if the lurker count is big enough, though, it's going to be pretty much impossible for Hero to actually march in. There's Spore Crawlers and also Overseers as detectors. But at this point, Reynor is very much so playing the I don't want to die strategy, or rather than the I'm going to go and win the game type of strategy. Really, the Zerglings and the Banelings and all that. Look at them. He's just casting. He can't see the lurkers. He has no detection. He's just casting in random places, hoping he catches something. My god. You get a storm, you get a storm, everybody gets a storm. And you know what? When the Archons, yeah, they move to the front because the High Templar are out of energy. It's not a bad transition. Hero wins game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on the Ruby Rock. I mean, it doesn't technically have the word "the" in front of the map name, but I feel like it's appropriate. Ruby Rock. Ruby, 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 Ruby! Do we just keep it going? I don't know how many... How many of those things can I hum before the automated copyright system is going to tag everything? I mean, I would have to be awfully accurate, I guess, in order for that to be triggered. Which, you know, I'm not going to take that level of credit. Either way, Hero winning the most Hero-esque game that I have seen on the new patch so far. I kind of feel like that's one of those matches where, like, nothing really went his way. But then he still won. Like, he still did it anyways. I mean, anytime the Banelings got close to the High Templar, the Storm just barely killed them, or the High Templar just barely morphed into Archons in time. And that made it all a lot more manageable there for the Protoss. A dangerous strategy to be playing, and one that honestly didn't really go particularly well for Hero. But Reynor never really managed to get the advantage. Alright, so what do we do right now on Ruby Rock? Did we change anything up? Keep in mind, of course, that we already did have a coin flip right there from Reynor in the early game, right? So Reynor skipping the Roach Warren, skipping the early Baneling Nest. And then we had Hero going for the +1 melee charge lot Archon push, but he never committed to it. So, yeah, Reynor managed to win the coin flip right there. Like, that's as close to a rock, paper, scissors as you can get. Reynor also ended up defending really nicely. I think he only lost like 2 drones in the earlier stages of the game while being awfully greedy with his expansions. So, usually, at least in days gone by, whenever Protoss has a pretty rough early game, they don't really achieve anything, and Zerg gets to get away with greed, usually Zergs used to go for a Queen-based attack, or for example a Hydroling Bane-based attack, and you would just roll over the Protoss player, because Protoss, well, got punished for not playing too great. And that's, I think, where a lot of the frustration is at from the pro-level Zergs at the moment. Even when you play a pretty much perfect early game, and even when Protoss has a pretty rough one, we even saw Oracles just flying into Spore Crawlers and dying. Even in those situations, the new Storm can save your butt. At least that's what it looks like at the moment. Alright. Stargate opener yet again here for Hero. Oracle yet again. Once more. A little bit of harassment here over at the third. It all comes down to the third base timing, right? So third base timing, the norm is about 345. Not a whole lot that Zerg can do about it unless you commit to a ton of Zerglings. So Reynor at this point has 10 Zerglings or so that he made in total, losing one of them. And he's now sending the Lings across the map. He knows of the timing of the third Nexus. And the idea is that if he notices that the Oracle is moving out, then he can actually get a snipe on the third Nexus for free. It's a commitment though, because these drones, or these Zerglings, could have been drones. He's gonna try to do the same thing over here at the third. Oracle is close by though. Not a big commitment here, of course, from the Zerg, but it is something that he hoped to be dealing damage with. To put it in perspective, the normal time back in the day, so I'm talking like, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago or so, the normal timing for a third base was about 5 minutes for Protoss. You gotta hand it to the Protoss players. They've really been, well, cleaning up their early game a ton to allow this Nexus to be ridiculously quick these days. And while being aggressive over here with the Zerglings is keeping that first Oracle at home, you kind of benefit anyways from keeping that first Oracle at home until the second one is out, because with 2, you can one-shot drones. And even with a Spore Crawler nearby, it's still quite difficult. Okay. Twilight Council together with a Forge yet again. Yeah, I'm starting to get kind of at the point where I think Protoss is a little bit overtuned at this stage in StarCraft 2's lifespan. I notice it especially against Terran, but I think maybe against Zerg, it is possibly even harder for Zerk right now than it was in the past. Then again, though, you gotta always, as we do have the follow-up again, but it's going to be Glaives this time and then also a Roach Warren this time, so that should be fine for Reynor if he notices it early enough. But yeah, he feels like he needs to be uber greedy in order to compete in the mid-game, so we'll see if it's gonna be possible for him to counter these Adepts. You gotta take everything I say, though, with a grain of salt until we see Serral play. Serral has yet to participate in any tournament on the new patch. He hasn't really shared a whole lot of games. And he's always been the one consistency, right, for Zerk over the years. Where, like, yeah, everybody is kind of struggling, maybe. But Serral always finds a way. There's a lot of dead space over here, by the way. You can hide over there in that corner for days. So, Reynor is not aware of the Glaive Adepts. Look how greedy he's playing. 67 workers, and then double expending on the back of this. We've got a lair, we've got the +1 melee. Now the Adepts, though, are done. Reynor doesn't have a spotter unit out on the map because the Oracles have been cleaning all of them up. Expertly executed attack here so far by Hero, hiding it perfectly. And despite the fact that I think Reynor should be okay, look at how greedy he's being. I think Reynor is in a world of trouble here. Oracles have some energy left over. Please activate the Pulsar Beam. Are we not going to activate the Pulsar Beam? Oh, he doesn't need it. No, Adepts actually just cleaned it all up. Now they shade straight into the main base. Only 5 Adepts have died in total. Queens are dying as well like flies. Now Roach Warrens are, well, here, and he can actually start pumping out the Roaches, but reinforcing Adepts are also showing up. Roaches, of course, completely... yeah, I wouldn't call them useless, but they can't really maneuver around until Glial Reconstitution is done. Drones are starting to drop. And I think Hero has just masterfully executed this timing attack here. Really using the information that he gained from the first game of this series. He recognized that Reynor is a greedy boy. And then because of it, he can go for the punishment. GG. Alrighty, that takes us to Tourmaline. Tourmaline? Tourmaline. Do we just ignore the U in English? I think in English you actually just ignore the U in the word Tourmaline. Anyway. Good old English. Learning English has been a interesting part of life. Every language has a lot of inconsistencies, but I feel like none more so than English, especially pronunciation-wise. Either way, so far, Hero is cruising. I don't think you can go for an Adept push like the one that we just saw multiple times. There's a good chance that Reynor is now going to be looking for those sorts of things, or maybe just play it slightly less greedy, right? And maybe just play it all a little bit safer. Or maybe he feels like he has no other choice. We'll have to keep an eye out on what the Zerk does. So what Reynor did in the previous match was drone up to 3-base saturation off of about 10 Zerglings, then double expended while getting a lair going. And then he wanted to start making units. That is extremely greedy. And he got punished for it. Now, obviously, the answer there would be to maybe scout a little bit better. But it's always difficult, right? The only real tell that you can get there as a Zerg is that the actual Adepts themselves are spotted. Hero obviously recalling some of them, though, in the earlier stages of the game always makes it difficult, especially because Hero was also warping in his Adepts in multiple locations. So if Reynor would have seen, hey, there's a bunch of Adepts over here, or he would have seen a bunch of Adepts over here, it could have been the recalled group. Obviously, Hero had multiple packs of them, but that is not something that Reynor really knew. Likewise, if you send in an Overlord Scout and you see it's a Twilight Council opener, you probably assume it's, well, either Charge or Blink. Most of the time it's Blink, but so far in these games, that's not really been the case yet. We've seen only Charge in game number 1. Maybe he did get Blink afterwards, but I don't think he really made a whole lot of Stalkers in general. And then obviously in the previous game, it was only Glaive Adept. So even when you see the Twilight Council, it doesn't immediately tell you what's going on. Oracle opener yet again, but Hero is getting there in a bit of a different way. Yeah, we've gone for a much faster second gateway. Cybercore, actually a third gateway already. Cybercore up on the high ground. Stargate is done. We're now doing just a good old Adept push here very early, but Reynor sees it coming. And that's going to give him some time here to actually prepare. He already knows, though, that something weird is going on because there is no third Nexus at 345. So he should have been preparing for something like this for a bit already. It's a little bit of an awkward push right here from Hero. Keep in mind that there's no glaives or whatever on these. So these are just unupgraded Adepts. Hello. Ooh. Recall now. Okay. Yeah, so this opener, I kind of hate. I'll be honest. Now we are 45 seconds or so late on the third Nexus. And yeah, you did force out a bunch of Zerglings. Maybe you can use those Adepts later on again for a secondary push. But this is now a type of game where Reynor can actually feel pretty confident. Very much so up to Hero's strategic choice, though. Maybe he was hoping that there wasn't going to be a Zergling out on the map to see the incoming push. He's still warping in more Adepts. Hero, what in the world is this build? It's a bit of an abomination. We're going more Oracles and more Adepts while having very little economy on the back of this. Honestly, sometimes Shock Factor also works, right? Reynor's got to be wondering too, like, what in the world is going on right now? We're just going for a bunch of unupgraded Adepts? Okay. Well, you know what? Oracles are dealing damage over at the third. Zerglings, though, got the wraparound on those Adepts right over here. Honestly, this is going to hurt still. Queen is going to get zapped to death too. Sporecrawler just barely doesn't get the damage done. One Adept still lives in the main, but the drones themselves decide to take matters into their own little claws. Still, 9 workers died. 9 workers and 30 Zerglings is not terrible. Oracles also survived here, which is the big one. I really thought that this Oracle over here was going to fall. Now we're going Blink. Okay. Reynor mixing it up a little bit here too. +1 missile together with Roach Speed this time around. 4th hatchery in a position that is quite far forward. Hydro Dentals are coming up. You know what I kind of miss? I really miss the days that Zerg could go for like early game aggression. And I'm not sure if just none of the Zergs are fans of it, but I kind of miss like the proxy hatchery openers and, you know, the hyper cheesy Zerg stuff. None of that is really possible anymore, it seems. At the very least, if you look at the pro gamers, none of them go for that sort of thing anymore. Maybe some of that, again, has to do with the fact that Dark is in the military. But I do like seeing a little bit of shenanigans. And so far, not a whole lot in 2025. Zergs really feel like they are the punching bag until at the very least the mid-game. 5th hatchery over here is gonna get cancelled. Ever since they made the Queen more expensive too, like remember how in the past we used to have, like in the early mid-game, these Queen marches that would go across? But then they made the Queen more expensive in a patch because Serral was winning too much stuff again, and then, well, those pushes are also kind of a thing of the past for the most part. I wonder if you can maybe go like Quick Spire as Zerg on the new patch. I wonder if maybe you can go even like a Broodlord sort of build, but I don't think you can open up 2-hatch as Zerg against Protoss ever. You really need a third, and if you're gonna go for quick mutas, either you rush them out, or you go for a delayed version, but then you have to make a Roach Warren and probably get also like a melee upgrade going, so it's all a little finicky. Anyways, now we have a push with unupgraded Hydras other than the ranged upgrade, so no movement speed for these Hydralisks. This means that Storm is especially dangerous now. Keep in mind, this is a best of 5, so Reynor is 1 map away from losing. Good movement here by Hero. Looks like we have found a solution to deal with Zorkling run-bys. Stasis wards, by the way, now last a little bit shorter than they used to. Still a very long time, but they did nerf the duration by like half. Lurker then again for Reynor. Together with a Hive, so we should be seeing the good old ranged upgrade here, the Seismic Spines, in just a moment. Zerg, though, coming in from all sides. Banelings, even though the plus 5 HP has been nice, are completely ignored in this particular situation. Blink away, do go to Stalkers, but that means all the Archons and the High Templar get sacrificed. Yeah, I don't think this is it, Hero. Hero's having a little too much fun in this game. He showed up at the office in like ripped jeans and he hasn't showered in 4 weeks. Reynor is here to keep him a little bit honest. Because so far this game has been very messy. And while Hero is sort of okay, usually Hawaiian shirts are not okay in a business setting. There's no way he's gonna survive until the Mothership again, right? Like, look at him. He's getting a second Stargate and then also a freaking... what is it called? A fleet beacon here. If he holds on to the 4th base here, I'm gonna lose my mind. This is pretty much the perfect game here for Reynor so far as like macro goes. Protoss eco is, well, good, but I don't think this is... There's no way, right? I mean, he's like 2 storms away from this being very manageable. Queens can't transfuse off creep. It's not a reason why we don't really see queen pushes very much anymore, but I guess if you bring the creep to the front, it is manageable. Nexus itself is starting to take a little bit of a beating. He starts up the Mothership. He just spent 400. No way, Hero. If you spend this right now, it means you're never gonna hold on to your 4th. Isn't that the main goal? I think warping in like 3 more High Templar and getting a bunch more storms going is probably better, although Reynor is still going to be able to micro this anyways. Maybe Hero already wrote off this Nexus by the time he queued up Mama. Backing up again to the safety of the Lurkers. New Nexus is building over here at the bottom of the map. Okay. I think Reynor is smelling blood. He doesn't know about the expansion in the far bottom right, but upon seeing the one is not over here, I guess it's really the only option. Oh, alright. I think if Reynor just keeps on the pressure, it is going to be nearly impossible for Hero to hold on here. There's the Mama ship. Mothership does show up, of course. But the Hydras themselves can just snipe her because she's way too overexposed. She wanted to cloak the High Templar, but decided to take all the beating. Like a captain of the ship, she went down, but with her, everything else. Next up, the Celestial Enclave. Or, excuse me, Celestial Enclave. Map number 4 in this best of 5 series. This is, of course, the map with the in-base expansion. I think as a Zork, you probably mostly ignore it. I wonder if as the Protoss, you also would. Hero, by the way, consistently somebody who always ignores the pylon indicators. So this is something that has been carefully crafted over the years by the map makers. If you're a ladder hero, I highly recommend you plant your very first pylon right over here. It means that you can make the perfect wall off. Hero's like, nah. I'll put it as part of the wall off. And of course, this does mean that he can go for a really greedy 3rd Nexus because he only now needs 2 of these structures to be able to wall off the natural. And then, of course, also a unit over here on hold position, whereas if you plant it over here, you usually need a 3rd. Or you would need a 3rd structure in that instance. But shouldn't really matter too much here for our Protoss. I honestly think Hero can chill a little bit. That triple gateway, mass adept into delayed 3rd Nexus, and then super quick fleet beacon with a 4th base, crossing your fingers, hoping the opponent isn't gonna attack you. I don't think that's the strat to play. And so far, Hero's looked very dominant in the games where he's played a little bit more clean. Although, sure. Sure, why not? Sure, of course, yeah, no, of course, yeah, no, sure. We're gonna go Void Ray. Usually something that you are better off avoiding. Let's see what we can do with it. It does mean that there's not gonna be nearly as much scouting right here for Hero. Would that make... Would that make something like Spire play a little bit more manageable? Is going to be an Oracle on the back of this, so probably not. Third Nexus does start up, though, inside of the main. So even going for a Void Ray and then already a second Stargate unit, this Nexus still started at, like, what, 338? That is fast. Really just killing a single Overlord with this Void Ray for now. And then, I guess, setting it up for... yeah, defense duty. That's now what it does. Maybe it had grand aspirations once upon a time. Maybe its parents were going to be proud, but... nope. This is what you do. Being a bouncer is very good, too, I guess. It's an important job, right? You gotta work security. Twilight Council together with a Forge on the back of this. Reynor not yet with an Evo Chamber, not yet with a Baneling Nest, not yet with a Roach Warren, not yet with a Lair. All Reynor has is drones. Drones, some Queens, some Zerglings, but that's really mostly it. Lair did start up. Roach Warren also does begin now. He went for the in-base expansion too. It's a bit of a curious one. I think most of the time we see Zerg players ignoring it. It's a little drone-only path. Yeah, you can take this. Rocks are down at the perfect moment, so yeah. I don't mind it. Did we just forget a Twilight Council upgrade? Hero! Oh no! He's at 300 minerals, 300 gas. He forgot the Twilight Council. Come on, Hero! You're not helping the argument of Protoss maybe being a little overtuned very much, man. He just forgot his main tech. He's making gateways. He's preparing for what is likely going to be a Blink Stalker attack, but he doesn't have Blink. He forgot. Now he starts it, yeah. So this is like a good minute late. Oh no. Oopsie. Spire for Reynor. I mean, if there ever was a situation where the Spire would actually work out, I feel like this would be the one. We do have Oracles, of course. So Oracles might be able to scout it out, but the problem is that this main is so far. Like, you have to fly through loads of, well, Zerg territory, especially when this base is done. I don't know if it's going to be easily achieved. Stalkers are not going to have Blink. Maybe, though, it's still good enough to kill this base. Queens need to get in position, I guess. Yeah, they're kind of on the other side. We are going to go for the full wraparound, and he decides to recall because there's no Blink. Ah, man, with Blink, he would have been able to kill this fourth, I think. Yeah, it would have been still difficult, but he would at the very least be able to achieve something. And that means that the Spire is going to go up completely uncontested, completely unscouted. If there ever was a perfect day for Mutalisks, it would be this one right over here. Yeah, he can't find that angle to get into the main. So Hero has no idea. Still though, only 69 workers this time around here for Reynor, which is significantly less than he had in the previous games at this point. He needs more Stalkers, or more Zerglings rather, to be countering those Stalkers. Even some Ravagers are being made, which is going to drastically cut into the Mutalisk production. Mutas and Ravagers being equally expensive. Both of them are 100 minerals, 100 gas each. For your 100 minerals and gas, you can either get a little Flappy Boy, or the ultimate Zerg Spellcaster. What will it be? Well, why not both? Hero decided to make a anti-F2 all-army hotkey. pylon inside of the natural expansion. He's going to be destroying that one right now. Fair enough. He's going to be able to access his own bases again. That's convenient. Blink right now is finished for Hero, so at the very least the dancing can begin. Mutas, though, together with Zerglings, are going to show up here in just a moment. There is a photon cannon inside of the mineral line. Yeah, Reynor now with a 50 supply advantage, man. It's, well, right now it's a little bit less, but it's significant. I am concerned for this 4th base right here of Hero, who starts up a fleet beacon as well right now. Yeah, I think Reynor could go for the kill on the 4th, but he's a little bit concerned for Psystorm. There is no Psystorm in this particular instance. We've only seen the Templar Archives, apparently. Did we forget this upgrade too? There's no way you would go Fleet Beacon before Storm Research, would you? Are we really just making it for Archons? Phoenix is out. Slowly chipping away at those Mutalisks. Yeah, he just made 4 more High Templar. He just made 4 High Templar, but he doesn't have Storm. No Blink, no Storm. We're forgetting everything, man. Reynor with a 50 supply lead. Zerglings are slowly nibbling away at those rocks over here. No vision for Hero. Actually, he does have vision. Apparently this pylon over here provides vision on that little bit of rock. Okay, yeah, he now realizes it, I think, and decides to morph the High Templar into Archons. Or maybe he just did it on purpose. Let's see what this main fight over here at the front can do, though. Those Zerglings, or those Zerg units, rather, do have +3, or +1 missile. Not enough stuff right here for Reynor at the front, but that's mostly because he's got a load of units nibbling away at those rocks that are well within vision. Hero, you must notice that, right? There's no way he hasn't seen it over here. Starts up the Mothership right now. Yeah, no, he noticed. He's just chilling. He knows it's gonna take those Lings forever. Those rocks have an insane amount of HP. 5th Nexus comes up. Lurkers with ranged. We've got ourselves the Adrenal Glands research coming up. Hero is actually totally fine. Yeah. It's been very messy. And the way in which he got to this spot is highly inefficient. But I think he's okay. Sniping a bunch of Lurkers here at the front while already standing in the Lurker spines. It's a bit risky. Why are we not getting Storm? I don't get it. Aggressive Blink forward. Goes after the Lurkers that he can snipe. And so far, the micro here has been really solid from Hero. Couple of Mutas. Got all army hotkeyed through all of this. Zerglings, though, together with Roaches, have now finished the job that they started earlier. And it seems that indeed this is going to be hurting. But here comes Mama. Mama Cloak. Mama uses Cloak. It's very effective. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we've got the Zerg army getting bullied. Hatchery is going to go down. Is Hero doing the no Storm challenge? Seriously, why are we not making Storm? Why are we not making Tempest? Why are we not making Carriers? Why are we not making Immortals? Why are we making nothing that's good against this Zerg army? And why are we still fine? The more Protoss games I cast, the more frustrated I become. Don't get me wrong, Hero is phenomenally good, but it feels like Terran and Zerg need to tip on their toes, man. They need to be so freaking careful. Whereas Protoss can forget about Blink, can skip one of their most powerful abilities, can not notice the rocks for a really long time, can forget half of their stuff and still be fine. Ay, ay, ay. Hero's army is monstrous. Where are we going, Mama? I think we're going for a recall into the pocket expansion right now. Hero actually now ahead in supply. Not that long ago, we saw the Protoss 50 pop behind. Here goes Mama, though, with the mass recall into the pocket expansion. As long as the Lurkers are on the high ground, I think it'll be difficult to break. The choke points are rather tight. Oh, okay. We're doing a mass recall on everything. At least everything that fit because of 20 links. Now Mama is stuck. I've watched a video once of a Mama getting stuck in a... Anyways, we're rebuilding the Templar Archives because the one over here went down. I'm guessing we're still not going to get Storm. Lurker numbers are going up. Reynor, though, really unable to get damage done. Okay, finally. He's figured out something he can maybe do, and that's going to be Lurker Transport inside of the Nidus Worm. This Protoss army, though, I mean, I think it's going to get recalled again. Reynor doesn't know. Reynor assumed that the Mothership got also recalled with everything else, but Mama is still hanging out. Recall is going to be available again in about a half minute. She's just chilling. If you can recall, I think you recall over here. Yeah, I think that's the plan. So he's losing the base over here in the bottom right. Hero, absolute gamer that he is going to recall again. It's going to be these units, and they are going to get run by right over here into the base as soon as those lurkers uproot. Here we go. Here goes Mama. Here goes Mama. There's the recall. I would love to see a sentry. All right, Time Warp also is pretty darn good. It reduces movement speed and attack speed by units under the bubble by 50%. So it's basically a giant middle finger right here to the Zerg units. Not a chance you're going to be moving up the high ground as long as that's there. Man, I would have really, really liked to see a couple sentries in the mix for force field over here. Cloak gets activated yet again, though. Target fires down all of the detectors. Say goodbye to your lurkers being able to deal damage now. Revelation on the oracles, too. It's going to be shutting down those lurkers. Hero is brute forcing his units down the ramp into the freaking choke point. But I think maybe the Zealot run by together with this Oracle now, I think they have done more than enough damage. Mama itself, 25 kills, soon to be even more. Hero's economy in the meantime is substantially bigger. That Void Ray from the early game, look at him. I thought this guy was kind of useless, but he just finished off a whole load of units, and now he's working on the old Hive. Hatchery over here is taking a lot of damage, but it looks like the Zealots are going to be pushed away for now. Mama is still hanging. Mama is still hanging out in the exact same spot. She's giving Void Ray over here a time to shine. She could have helped. Instead, she's doing worker harassment. No way, dude. Mama is dealing damage to the mineral line. We have one Zealot trying his very best. In the meantime, there were some pushes as well by the Zerglings here in the bottom right, but plenty of probes are still around. The lurker numbers are big, but now the Tempests are starting to come, and there is zero potential here for the Zerg player to counter Tempest. Unless he flies them way far forward, the Tempest should always be out of range. He's making a second fleet beacon. Hero, we've already made a Mothership. We have already made Tempests. Why are we spending another 300 minerals, 200 gas? This is the most expensive structure you can build. What? There's one right here, man. Giga Chat Hero does not care. He's like recycling. I'm too cool for that. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna split up my garbage and put my cardboard boxes from all my Amazon deliveries that I do. I'm not gonna put those in a different bin. No, everything goes down the meat grinder. Everything goes into the same shredder right over here at the front. Lurkers are here, man. They're trying their absolute best, but I think Hero still wins this. This has been the most Hero-esque game that I have seen in months. So messy, so sloppy, but there really wasn't much that Reynor could do about it. That was insane, man. He must have wasted, I kid you not, he must have wasted at least 2 minutes of time in this game, and then a few thousand minerals and gas in total, and he still dominates.